The deep space monitoring station on the dark side of Luna was quiet as always. Only the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep broke the silence. Tom Ellis rubbed his tired eyes. Night shift at the station was boring, but it paid well. Then a light flashed red on his console. "What's this?" Tom muttered, sitting up straight. The computer had picked up something unusual, a pattern in the background noise of space. Not random. A signal. Tom's fingers flew across the keyboard. The signal was weak but clear, coming from a distant star system. The computer confirmed what he already suspected. This was no natural phenomenon. This pattern was made by something intelligent. "Control, this is Deep Space Monitor 3. I'm picking up an artificial signal from Sector 87B, please confirm," Tom said into his headset, trying to keep his voice steady. Within minutes, the quiet station became a hub of activity. Scientists and military personnel arrived, examining the signal from every angle. It didn't match any known human transmission pattern. "It's alien," said Dr. Anna Reed, the lead scientist. Her voice was filled with wonder. The first confirmed contact from another civilization. 3 days later, Commander Alex Reed stood in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking at the gathered world leaders on the large screens that filled the wall. "The signal has been decoded," Reed explained, his tall frame standing firm before the world's most powerful people. "It's a distress call, what we would call an SOS. They're asking for help." "Help against what?" asked the president of the North American Alliance. "We don't know exactly. The message mentions an enemy that destroys worlds. It includes coordinates and a desperate plea for assistance." The Chinese premier leaned forward. "Can we trust this? It could be a trap." Reed nodded. "That's possible. But the signal has been traveling for 8 years. Whatever sent it might already be gone." Debate raged for hours. Some leaders wanted to ignore the message. Earth had its own problems. Others felt a moral duty to respond. Humanity had dreamed of finding other life in the universe for centuries. Now that they had, could they turn their backs? "If we were in trouble," Reed finally said, silencing the arguments, "wouldn't we hope someone would answer our call?" In the end, they voted to respond. Reed was appointed mission commander. His job: assemble a fleet and crew to journey farther than any human had ever gone before. The next month was a blur of activity. 5 ships were prepared. The flagship Intrepid and 4 support vessels. Each was equipped with the best technology Earth could provide. The crew was selected from the finest specialists on the planet. Reed walked through the Intrepid, inspecting every detail. The ship was massive, nearly a kilometer long, with smooth lines and powerful engines. It was designed for deep space exploration, but had been upgraded with defensive systems, just in case. "Commander, final crew reports are in," said Lieutenant Ben Hill, handing Reed a tablet. "All positions filled and ready." Reed looked at the list. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, diplomats. The best Earth had to offer. People who had trained their whole lives for a mission that no one had ever imagined would actually happen. "Send the message to all ships," Reed ordered. "We launch tomorrow at 600. That night, Reed stood at the window of his quarters, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, someone was asking for help, and humanity had decided to answer. "We're coming," he whispered to the distant stars. "Hold on." The next morning, as the sun rose over the Atlantic, 5 ships lifted from Earth's surface, breaking free of gravity's hold. They formed up in orbit, their engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. The fleet was assembled. The journey to answer an alien cry for help had begun. Humanity was going to the stars not as conquerors, but as rescuers. Whatever waited for them out there, they would face it together. 6 weeks into their journey, Commander Reed called his senior crew to the main briefing room of the Intrepid. The room fell silent as Reed stood at the front, his face serious. "We're 1/3 of the way to our destination," Reed said, pointing to a star map. "It's time everyone understood what makes our mission special. Dr. Wilson, please explain." Dr. Lena Wilson stepped forward. She was short but carried herself with confidence. As the ship's lead xenobiologist, she had spent years studying how life might evolve on other worlds. "Earth is special," she began. "Based on our understanding of the galaxy, planets are rated by how dangerous they are to life. Earth is what scientists would call a Class 12 death world." The room filled with murmurs. Most of the crew had never heard this term before. "Think about it," Wilson continued. "Our planet has extreme weather. Hurricanes, blizzards, floods. We have earthquakes and volcanoes. Our gravity is stronger than most life-bearing planets. Our air has high oxygen that allows fires to burn easily. We evolved alongside predators with teeth and claws that could tear us apart." She showed images of Earth's natural disasters and dangerous animals. "Humans think Earth is normal because it's our home. But we survive there because we are tough. We can live in deserts, jungles, and near the poles. We can go days without water, weeks without food. We can break bones and heal, lose blood and recover. Our bodies fight diseases that would kill other species." Lieutenant Marcus Stone nodded from his seat. Before joining the mission, he had been a Special Forces soldier who trained in extreme environments. He had survived in deserts where temperatures reached 120 degrees and in Arctic conditions where it dropped to -40. "The aliens who sent this signal likely evolved on a much gentler world," Wilson finished. "They may be shocked by what we can endure." After the briefing, Reed watched the crew in the training area. Stone was leading a combat exercise. Despite the artificial gravity being set higher than normal, he moved quickly, demonstrating takedown moves to a group of security personnel. Nearby, engineer Jack Torres was testing a new tool he had designed. Torres had grown up in the deep mining colonies of South America, where humans worked in crushing pressure and heat. His hands were scared but steady as he worked. "How are the modifications coming?" Reed asked, approaching Torres. "Good, sir," Torres answered. "I've improved the shield generators. They'll now handle 30% more energy before failing." Reed nodded. "Keep it up. We don't know what we'll face out there." That night, Reed couldn't sleep. He pulled up old videos from Earth on his tablet. Children playing in snow, swimmers diving into rough ocean waves, climbers scaling vertical cliffs with their bare hands, runners completing marathons in blistering heat. These ordinary activities showed how extraordinary humans really were. They had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day, and instead of merely surviving, they had thrived. A message came through on his comm unit. "Commander, we've detected an unusual energy signature ahead," reported the night shift officer. "It doesn't match anything in our database." "I'll be right there," Reed replied, putting away his tablet. As he walked through the quiet ship, Reed thought about the crew sleeping in their quarters, 200 men and women from Earth, carrying the strength of their Death World heritage in their bones. Whatever waited for them at the end of their journey, humanity would not approach it as weaklings. They were the children of Earth. They had been forged in fire, ice, and struggle. And now they were heading into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw at them. The ship hummed around him, carrying these Deathworlders deeper into space, toward a distant cry for help. "We've arrived at the coordinates," announced the navigation officer, dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The stars stopped stretching around them as the 5 human ships returned to normal space. Commander Reed leaned forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the main view screen. Before them floated a massive space station. Its design was unlike anything humans had built, all curves and spirals rather than straight lines. But even to human eyes, the damage was clear. Huge sections were torn open to space. Debris floated around it. Parts of the station glowed with internal fires. "Life signs?" Reed asked. "Yes, sir," replied the sensor officer. "Many different patterns. Some match nothing in our database." "Broadcast on all frequencies," Reed ordered. "Tell them we received their distress call, and we're here to help." Minutes passed with no response. Then suddenly, a voice came through the speakers. The words were strange, but the computer translated. Unknown vessels. This is Central Station Harmony. Who are you? Why have you come? Reed took a deep breath. This is Commander Alex Reed of the United Earth Fleet. We received your distress signal. We've come to help. There was a long pause. Earth? We do not know this world. Please stand by. An hour later, Reed, Dr. Wilson, and Lieutenant Stone led a small team onto the alien station. They wore lightweight environmental suits, just in case. The docking tube connected with a gentle thud, and the airlock cycled open. 3 aliens waited for them. They were tall and thin, with 4 arms and smooth blue skin. Their large eyes blinked slowly as they looked at the humans. "Welcome," said the tallest alien. A small device on its chest translated its musical speech. "I am Director Vol of the Tessari Collective. We are surprised that you answered our call." "It was the right thing to do," Reed said simply. "What happened here?" As they walked through the damaged station, Vol explained. The Tessari were a peaceful species from a gentle world with low gravity and mild weather. They had built this station as a meeting place for various species. Then the Vorax had attacked. "They destroy without reason," Vol said sadly. "They take what they want and leave nothing behind." Dr. Wilson studied the aliens carefully. The Tessari moved gracefully, but their thin limbs suggested they came from a low-gravity environment. When a piece of debris fell nearby with a loud crash, all 3 Tessari jumped back in alarm, their breathing becoming rapid. "You seem very resilient," Vol said, watching Stone easily move a fallen beam that blocked their path. "Your movements are quick, your body's solid." "We come from a high-gravity world," Wilson explained. "Earth has many environments and dangers. We adapted to survive them." Vol led them to a large room where dozens of aliens from at least 5 different species gathered. Many were injured. Some looked at the humans with fear, others with hope. "We sent our distress call to 20 nearby systems," Vol explained. "Only you responded." Reed looked around the room. "How many Vorax are there? What weapons do they use?" "Their fleet numbers 50 ships," Vol said. "They have plasma weapons and energy shields. They will return soon to finish what they started." Stone stepped closer. 5 ships against 50. Not great odds. Reed nodded. "But we didn't come all this way to leave these people to die." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A young Tessari rushed into the room. "Director, sensors detect Vorax ships approaching. They will arrive in 6 hours." The room erupted in panic. Aliens moved in all directions, some crying out in their strange languages. Reed watched them, then turned to his team. "Let's get back to our ships," he said calmly. "We need to prepare." As they walked quickly back to the docking tube, Vol hurried beside them. "What will you do?" the alien asked, voice trembling. "The Vorax are too powerful." Reed's face showed no fear. "On Earth, we have a saying. The most dangerous animal is the one fighting to protect others." He smiled slightly. "It's time to show the Vorax what humans can do." Back on the Intrepid, Reed called an emergency meeting with all ship captains and the Tessari leaders. The station's large meeting room was filled with both humans and aliens. 6 hours isn't much time," Reed said, looking at the tactical display. "Tell us everything you know about the Vorax." A thin Tessari with silver markings stepped forward. "I am Krell, Defense Coordinator. The Vorax attack in waves. Their ships are fast. They target life support systems first." "Why do they attack you?" asked Captain Diana Miller of the support ship Defender. "Resources. Territory. Perhaps simply because they enjoy it," Krell replied. "They believe the strong should rule the weak." Reed studied the alien ships on the display. "We're outnumbered, but we have surprise on our side. They won't expect resistance." As they talked, more alien ships arrived at the station, refugees fleeing Vorax attacks on their worlds. They were different species. The plant-like Vril with their leafy skin, the short, stocky Gren with their 4 eyes, and the Olorans who looked almost human except for their golden skin and double-jointed limbs. The newcomers were surprised to see humans. Like the Tassari, they came from worlds gentler than Earth. They watched with wide eyes as the humans moved quickly around the station, setting up defenses. Engineer Torres was working with a team to strengthen the station's shields when a group of Gren approached him. "You lift those heavy panels alone?" asked the lead Gren, named Dox. "Our people need 3 to move 1. Torres shrugged. "Earth has stronger gravity than your world. Makes us stronger." Dox watched Torres work for a while, then said, "Teach us. We want to help." Soon, mixed teams of humans and aliens worked throughout the station. The humans taught the aliens Earth fighting techniques, while the aliens shared their technology. It wasn't perfect. The translation devices sometimes failed, and cultural differences led to confusion. But they were united by a common enemy. In the medical bay, Dr. Wilson examined the wounded aliens. Their biology was different from humans, but she adapted quickly. A young Oloran doctor named Hilla watched her work. "You move without rest," Tella said. "Are you not tired?" Wilson smiled as she treated a burned Vril. "Humans can go days without proper sleep if needed. Our bodies are built to handle stress. On my world, such strain would kill us," Tella said with wonder. "You truly are from a death world." Lieutenant Stone was teaching combat techniques to a mixed group of aliens. He demonstrated how to take cover, aim, and move quickly between positions. "You want us to run toward danger?" asked a confused Tassari. "Sometimes the best defense is a strong offense," Stone explained. "The Vorax expect you to hide and run. They won't expect you to fight back." Meanwhile, Reed worked with Director Val and the other leaders to create a battle plan. The human ships would take the front line, with alien vessels providing support from behind. The station's weapons would be their last line of defense. "Your plan is very aggressive," Val said nervously. "Our people are not warriors. Today, you have to be," Reed replied firmly. "Everyone fights or everyone dies." As the hours passed, the station transformed. Barriers were set up at key points. Weapons were distributed. Medical areas were prepared for casualties. A strange alliance of Deathworlders and peaceful species readied themselves for battle. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Reed watched the countdown timer. 1 hour remained before the Vorax arrived. "All ships report ready, Commander," said his communications officer. Reed nodded. "Send one last message to Earth. Tell them we've made contact and are defending the station against hostile forces." As the message was sent, Reed looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, 50 enemy ships were coming. The odds were against them, but humans had faced bad odds before. "Deathworlders," he said quietly. "Time to show the galaxy what that really means." "Vorax fleet detected," announced the sensor officer. 53 ships approaching at high speed. Reed stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, watching the enemy ships appear on the tactical display. They were sleek and predatory, with sharp angles and glowing red engines. "All ships, battle positions," Reed ordered. "Remember the plan. Let them come to us." The 5 human ships formed a defensive line in front of the station. Behind them, 14 alien vessels took position. Most were not warships but had been hastily equipped with weapons. "Vorax fleet is hailing us," said the communications officer. A harsh face appeared on the main screen. The Vorax had gray, scaled skin and yellow eyes with vertical pupils. Sharp teeth showed when it spoke. "This is War Leader Krult of the Vorax Empire. You protect our prey. Move aside or be destroyed with them." Reed stepped forward. "This is Commander Reed of Earth. We stand with the people of this station. Leave now, and there will be no conflict." The Vorax leader laughed, a cold sound like breaking glass. "Earth? Never heard of it. You have made a mistake, human. You will learn what happens to those who defy the Vorax." The screen went dark. "They're powering weapons," reported the tactical officer. Reed took a deep breath. "All ships, execute Plan Alpha. Good luck." The battle began with a flash of energy as the Vorax ships fired. Their weapons were powerful, but they expected no resistance. They were shocked when the human ships didn't retreat. Instead, the Earth fleet split apart, executing a complex maneuver that confused the Vorax targeting systems. The Intrepid turned sharply, engines flaring, and fired its main guns. 2 Vorax ships exploded. "They didn't expect us to fight back," Stone said from his position at the weapons console. "They thought we'd run like the others." The Vorax quickly adjusted their strategy. They surrounded the human ships, attacking from all sides. Energy beams hit the Intrepid, making the ship shake. "Shields at 70%, reported an officer. Reed kept his voice calm. "Continue firing. Focus on their lead ships." In space around them, the battle raged. The human ships moved with surprising agility for their size, turning and firing in patterns the Vorax hadn't seen before. The alien allies followed behind, targeting damaged enemy ships. On the station, Taurus and his engineering team worked frantically to keep the shields up. The station shook as Vorax weapons hit it. "Power failing in Section 4, called a Tassari engineer. Reroute through the secondary systems," Taurus ordered, his hands moving quickly over the controls. "Don't let them hit the life support areas." In the medical bay, Dr. Wilson treated the first wounded as they arrived. A young human ensign had severe burns on his arm, where his suit had been damaged. "Hold still," Wilson said as she applied medicine to the wound. "You'll be back on duty soon." "The pain is intense," the ensign gasped. "Tela," the Alleran doctor, watched in amazement. "On my world, such injuries would leave someone unconscious from pain." "Humans have a high pain tolerance," Wilson explained as she worked. "Another gift from our death world." Back on the bridge, Reed watched as his support ship, the Defender, took heavy damage. Its shields failed, and Vorax weapons tore into its hull. "Defender reports multiple hull breaches," said the communications officer. "They're evacuating to the station." Reed nodded grimly. "Cover their retreat." The battle had been raging for 2 hours. The human fleet had destroyed 12 Vorax ships, but the enemy still outnumbered them. The Intrepid's shields were failing, and 2 of their 5 ships were heavily damaged. "We can't keep this up much longer," Stone said. Reed studied the tactical display. The Vorax were adapting to human tactics, becoming more cautious, but something about their attack pattern caught his eye. "They're protecting their command ship," Reed said, pointing to a larger vessel hanging back from the main battle. "And look at their attack timing. They move in perfect coordination." Understanding dawned on Reed's face. They have a central command structure. If we take out their leader, we might disrupt their whole fleet. He turned to Stone. "I need our best strike team ready in 5 minutes. We're going to board that command ship." Stone grinned. "Time to show the Vorax what Deathworlders do best." "This is insane," said Captain Miller as she looked at Reed's plan on the display. "Boarding the Vorax command ship. It's suicide." "It's our only chance," Reed replied. "We can't win a prolonged battle." The plan was simple but dangerous. While the fleet kept the Vorax busy, a small team would take a stealth shuttle to the command ship. They would board it, fight their way to the bridge, and capture or eliminate the Vorax leadership. Lieutenant Stone would lead the boarding party. 5 human soldiers, and, surprisingly, 3 aliens had volunteered. Krell from the Tassari, Dox from the Gren, and an Alleran named Vila. "Are you sure you want to join this mission?" Stone asked the aliens as they prepared their gear. "It will be extremely dangerous. We have watched how humans fight," Krell said. "You taught us to be brave. We will help." Stone nodded with respect. These peaceful aliens were learning quickly. Meanwhile, Dr. Wilson had made an important discovery. She had been studying Vorax biology from scans of the damaged ships. "Commander, I found something," she told Reed. The Vorax evolved on a world with very consistent temperature. They can't handle sudden temperature changes. Reed thought for a moment. Can we use that? Maybe, Wilson said. Their ships are kept at the same temperature at all times. If Stone's team can access their environmental controls. Reed immediately called Stone. Lieutenant, change of plans. You have a new target on that ship. As the battle continued, the small shuttle detached from the Intrepid's underbelly. With its engines running cool and its hull absorbing radar, it slipped between the fighting ships toward the Vorax command vessel. Approaching target, Stone reported quietly. No signs they've detected us. Inside the shuttle, the team checked their weapons one last time. The humans wore light armor and carried energy rifles. The aliens had been given weapons suited to their unique physiologies. Remember, we move fast and stay together, Stone told them. Humans in front. We can take more damage if they start shooting. The shuttle attached to the Vorax ship's hull. Using a cutting tool, they created their own airlock and entered silently. The inside of the Vorax ship was hot and dry. The corridors were narrow, with red lighting that cast eerie shadows. Stone led them forward, using a map Dr. Wilson had created based on scans. Environmental control should be 2 levels down, he whispered. They encountered their first Vorax guards at a junction. The reptilian aliens were larger up close, with powerful muscles under their scales, but the boarding party had surprise on their side. Stone and his team fired before the Vorax could sound an alarm. Move, Stone ordered, and they ran forward. Back on the Intrepid, Reed watched the battle. They were holding their own, but just barely. 2 more human ships had taken heavy damage. The station's shields were failing in several sections. Sir, I'm getting a transmission from Stone's team, reported the communications officer. We've reached environmental control. Stone's voice came through, accompanied by the sound of weapons fire. Heavy resistance, but we're holding. Setting up the device now. Engineer Torres had built a special device based on Dr. Wilson's discovery. It would send the ship's temperature plummeting in seconds. Device activated, Stone reported, returning to extraction point. Throughout the Vorax command ship, the temperature suddenly dropped. Alarms blared. The reptilian aliens, unable to function in cold, began to slow down. Their movements became sluggish, their reactions delayed. On the bridge of the command ship, War Leader Krult felt the cold penetrating his scales. What is happening? He demanded, his voice slurring. Unknown device activated in environmental control, an officer reported, struggling to speak as the cold affected him. Temperature dropping rapidly. Find the intruders, Krult ordered, but it was too late. Across the battlefield, the effect was immediate. The Vorax fleet's coordinated attacks fell apart. Ships moved erratically or stopped firing altogether. It's working, Reed said. All ships, press the attack now. The human fleet and their alien allies surged forward, targeting the confused Vorax ships. One by one, the enemy vessels were disabled or destroyed. Stone's team is requesting pickup, reported the communications officer. They've completed their mission and are heading to extraction. Reed allowed himself a small smile. Tell them well done, and prepare a warm welcome when they return. The tide of battle had turned. The Deathworlders had shown what they could do. The shuttle carrying Stone's team docked with the Intrepid. Reed was waiting when they emerged, tired but triumphant. Mission accomplished, sir, Stone reported with a salute. His armor was damaged, and he had a burn on his cheek, but he stood tall. Well done, Lieutenant, Reed said. All of you. He nodded to the alien team members, who looked exhausted but proud. On the main view screen, the battle continued. The Vorax fleet was in chaos. Without clear leadership from their command ship, each vessel fought alone. Some were retreating. Others continued to attack wildly. The Vorax are sending out a distress call of their own, reported the communications officer. Reed smiled grimly. Let's answer it. He opened a channel to the Vorax command ship. War Leader Krolt appeared on screen, huddled in thermal blankets. His eyes burned with hatred. "This isn't over, human," Krolt hissed. "The Vorax Empire will hunt you down." "I don't think so," Reed replied calmly. "Your fleet is defeated. Your forces are in retreat. I offer you one chance. Surrender now." Krolt snarled. "Vorax do not surrender." "Then you leave us no choice," Reed said. He turned to Stone. "Target their engines. Disable their ships, but allow escape pods to launch." The battle lasted another hour. In the end, 35 Vorax ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest fled into deep space. The Vorax command ship, unable to escape, was boarded by a larger force led by Captain Miller. War Leader Krolt and his officers were taken prisoner. On the station, there was celebration. Species that had lived in fear of the Vorax for years now gathered in the main hall. The humans were at the center of it all, receiving thanks from aliens of all kinds. Director Vol called for quiet and stepped onto a raised platform. "Today marks a new beginning," the Tassari leader announced. "For too long, the peaceful worlds of this sector lived in fear of the Vorax. We believed ourselves too weak to resist. But today, with the help of our new allies from Earth, we have proven that together we are strong." Cheers filled the hall. Reed stood uncomfortably as Val beckoned him forward. Commander Reed and his brave crew came from a distant world to help strangers. Val continued. They risked their lives for people they had never met. This is true nobility. Reed stepped to the platform. "We did what anyone would do. On our world, we believe in helping those in need." "Your world must be remarkable," Val said. "These Deathworlders have shown us that strength without compassion is meaningless. The Vorax were strong but used their power to hurt others. Humans are strong but use their power to protect." In the days that followed, repairs began on the station. The diverse species worked alongside the humans, learning from them and teaching them in return. Earth technology was combined with alien science, creating new possibilities. Dr. Wilson worked with alien doctors, sharing medical knowledge. Torres taught engineering techniques to fascinated aliens. Stone trained a mixed group in Earth combat methods, and Reed met with leaders from a dozen worlds, forming new alliances. 1 month after the battle, it was time for the Earth fleet to begin the journey home. The ships, repaired and upgraded with alien technology, were ready to depart. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Reed looked at the message he had prepared for Earth. How could he explain all that had happened? How humanity had joined a larger community among the stars. How Earth's harsh conditions had created a species uniquely suited to protect others. "Sir," said his communications officer, "the station is hailing us." Reed looked up to see Director Val on the screen. "Commander Reed," the alien said, "some of us wish to accompany you to Earth as ambassadors, to learn more about your world and your people." Reed smiled. "We would be honored, and I believe Earth will be very interested in learning about yours." As the fleet prepared to depart, Reed looked out at the stars. The journey had begun with a desperate signal from unknown beings. It had led to friendship, alliance, and victory, and now it would lead to a new future for humanity among the stars. Earth would never be alone again. Captain Tom Rivera stared at the blinking light on his console. The message had arrived 3 hours ago, traveling across vast distances of space. He played it again, watching as the broken words and strange sounds filled the command center of Earth's defense headquarters. "This is Lumen Central Command. Under attack. Unknown vessels. Heavy losses. Request immediate. Civilization at risk." The message cut off with a burst of static. Tom ran his hand through his short gray hair and looked up at the large screen showing the origin of the signal. It came from the Lumen homeworld, over 30 light-years away. "Play it again," ordered General Adams as she walked into the room. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, her face showing no emotion. Tom hit the button, and the broken message played once more. "What do you think?" he asked when it finished. I think someone is asking for help, she replied, studying the star map. The question is whether we should give it. Tom turned in his chair. The lumen helped us develop faster than light travel. Without them, we would still be stuck in our solar system. That was 20 years ago, said General Adams, and they haven't contacted us since the Galactic Council labeled us as Deathworlders and restricted our movements. The term still bothered Tom. Humans had evolved on a planet that most alien species considered extremely dangerous. Earth's gravity, atmosphere, radiation levels, and temperature ranges would kill most intelligent life in the galaxy. This made humans stronger and more durable than most species, but also feared. All the more reason to help them now, Tom argued. We can show the galaxy that Deathworlders aren't the monsters they think we are. The door opened again, and Dr. Bell entered, carrying a datapad. Her eyes were wide with excitement. I've analyzed the attack patterns from the video feed that came with the SOS, she said. The attacking ships match no known designs in our database. They're using weapons I've never seen before. She projected images of black ships with strange curved shapes. They fired beams of dark energy that seemed to pull apart the lumen vessels. The lumen are calling them the Void, Dr. Bell continued. From what I can tell, they appeared without warning at the edge of lumen space and began attacking everything. General Adams frowned. This isn't our fight. The Galactic Council made it clear that human ships are not welcome beyond our solar system. With all due respect, General, Tom said, standing up, the Council isn't helping the lumen. If they were, we wouldn't have received this message. He walked to the main view screen and enlarged the star map. We have the fastest ships in this sector. We have weapons designed to work in extreme conditions, and we have crews who train harder than any species in known space. Tom pointed to the blinking dot that marked the lumen homeworld. They helped us when no one else would. We owe them this. The room fell silent. General Adams studied the map for a long minute. The President will need to approve this, she finally said. And the United Earth Council. Then let's ask them, Tom replied. 3 days later, Tom stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, Earth's most advanced battleship. Through the viewports, he could see 5 more ships moving into formation. Each one carried the best weapons, shields, and engines humans had ever built. All ships report ready, Captain, said Lieutenant Reed from the communication station. Tom nodded and opened a channel to the fleet. This is Captain Rivera. Today we answer a call that came from 30 light years away. The Lumen need our help, and we are going to give it to them. Some say we shouldn't leave our solar system. Some say the galaxy fears us because we come from a world that would kill most species. Today we will show them that Deathworlders can also be saviors. He paused, looking at the determined faces of his crew. Prepare for FTL jump. We have people to save. The engines hummed as the coordinates were set. Moments later, the first human battle fleet ever to leave Earth's solar system vanished in 6 flashes of light, racing toward a distant war. Lieutenant Jane Frost moved quickly through the loading bay of the UES Defender. All around her, crew members rushed to prepare the ship for its mission. She stopped at a large metal container and placed her hand on the scanner. Weapons check complete, she said as the container opened to reveal rows of advanced pulse rifles. These weapons were designed to work in any environment, from the vacuum of space to the crushing depths of gas giants. Never thought we'd actually use these in combat, said Sergeant Wilson as he helped her secure the weapons. All our training, and no one to fight. Jane nodded. Until now. On the other side of the bay, Engineer Bill Cooper crawled out from under the hull plating of a scout ship. His face was streaked with grease, but he wore a proud smile. The reinforcements are done, he announced to his team. This baby can now handle 5 times normal Earth gravity without breaking apart. The Lumen ships couldn't do that, one of his assistants commented. Their vessels break down under much less stress. That's because they never had to evolve on a death trap like Earth, Bill replied, wiping his hands on a rag. Their home planet has perfect weather, low gravity, And no natural disasters. Must be nice. The main doors to the bay slid open, and Captain Rivera walked in. Everyone stood a little straighter as he passed. "How are the preparations coming along?" Tom asked, looking around at the organized chaos. "Weapons are ready," Jane reported. "We've got enough firepower to take on anything we might encounter." Bill stepped forward. "And I've finished the hull reinforcements on all ships. We can fly closer to stars and gas giants than any other fleet in the galaxy." Tom nodded with approval. "Good work, both of you. We need every advantage we can get." He led them to a central display table that showed the 6 ships of their fleet. The UES Defender was the largest, a battleship built with Earth's best technology. The others included 2 cruisers, the Courage and the Resolve, and 3 smaller scout ships, the Swift, the Seeker, and the Shadow. "This is the first time human ships will travel beyond our solar system as a fighting force," Tom said, looking at the holograms. "Our fleet is small, but each ship can outperform anything else we know of." Dr. Bell joined them at the table, carrying a data pad with new information. "I've analyzed more of the lumen signal," she said. "The void ships appear to target communication centers first, then power systems. They're smart and organized." She pulled up images of the strange black ships. Their weapons seemed designed to tear ships apart atom by atom. "Can our shields block that?" Jane asked, concerned. "In theory, yes," Bill answered. "Our shields were designed to withstand meteor impacts and solar flares. They should hold." Tom studied the information carefully. "We'll find out soon enough." An hour later, the crew gathered in the main hangar for final words before departure. People from all nations of Earth stood together in their blue and silver uniforms. Some looked nervous, others determined. Tom stepped onto a platform to address them. "Today, we go where no human fleet has gone before," he began. "Not to conquer or threaten, but to help those who once helped us." He looked around at the faces watching him. "The galaxy calls us Deathworlders. They fear us because we survived on a planet that would kill most of them. But they don't understand what that really means." Tom's voice grew stronger. "It means we never give up. It means we adapt and overcome. It means that when friends call for help, we answer, no matter the danger." Around the hangar, crew members nodded in agreement. "We don't know exactly what we'll face out there," Tom continued. "But whatever it is, we'll face it together. For Earth, for the Lumen, and for all peaceful species in this galaxy." A cheer arose from the crowd. Minutes later, from the bridge of the Defender, Tom gave the order. "All ships, prepare for FTL jump." The 6 ships of humanity's first battle fleet moved into formation, engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. In a flash of light, they were gone, racing through the void toward a distant cry for help. The human fleet dropped out of FTL travel with a flash of light. Captain Tom Rivera steadied himself as the UES Defender settled back into normal space. The view screen showed a scene of destruction that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Reed from his station. "What happened here?" Floating all around them were pieces of ships. Broken hulls, shattered engines, and twisted metal spread across a vast area of space. Some pieces still glowed with heat, showing that the battle had happened recently. "Scan for life signs," Tom ordered, his voice tight, "and identify as many ship parts as you can." Dr. Bell worked quickly at her console. "Most of the debris is Lumen design, but there are other ships here too, designs I don't recognize." "The Void," Tom said quietly. "Sir," called Jane from the weapons station. "I'm detecting energy readings at the edge of the debris field. 3 small ships moving this way." Tom straightened in his chair. "Show me." The view screen changed to show 3 black ships with curved, strange shapes. They moved smoothly through the debris, clearly searching for something. "They haven't noticed us yet," Jane reported. "All ships silent running," Tom ordered through the fleet comm. "Let's see what they do." The human ships went dark, using minimal power to avoid detection. The crew watched as the void vessels continued their search pattern. "They're scanning the debris," Dr. Bell said, looking at her readings. "Seems like they're making sure nothing survived." Tom's face hardened. "They're hunting survivors." Suddenly, one of the void ships turned toward them. A beam of light swept across space, touching the edge of the human fleet. "They've spotted us," Jane announced. "They're changing course to intercept." Tom made his decision quickly. "All ships, power up. Battle stations." Across the fleet, lights came on and engines hummed to life. Weapon systems charged and shields raised as the crew prepared for combat. "They're coming fast," Jane reported. "Weapons charging on all 3 enemy ships." "They don't even know who we are," Bill said from the engineering station. "No attempt to communicate." "Open a channel anyway," Tom ordered. Lieutenant Reed tried several frequencies. "No response, sir. They're ignoring us." "Then they've made their choice," Tom said grimly. "Lieutenant Frost, target their weapons systems only. Let's try to disable them first." "Targeting," Jane confirmed. "Ready to fire." The black ships suddenly accelerated, moving much faster than expected. Dark energy beams shot out from their fronts, heading straight for the human fleet. "Evasive action," Tom shouted. The Defender turned sharply, the beam just missing its hull. But one of the scout ships, the Swift, couldn't move in time. The dark beam hit its side. Tom expected to see the ship torn apart, based on Dr. Bell's analysis. Instead, the Swift shuddered violently, but remained intact. "The Swift reports minor damage to outer hull," Reed announced, sounding surprised. "Shields held at 60%. Bill looked up from his console. "Our reinforced hulls are stronger than the Lumen ships. The void weapons aren't as effective against us." Tom smiled for the first time since entering this graveyard of ships. "Good to know." All ships returned fire. Bright blue energy pulses shot out from the human vessels, striking the void ships with precision. 2 of the black ships spun away, clearly damaged. The third kept coming. "That one's heading straight for the Courage," Jane warned. Tom watched as the void ship charged toward the human cruiser, but the Courage didn't move. "What are they doing?" Tom asked. Just as the void ship came close, the Courage released a pulse of energy that surrounded both vessels. The black ship suddenly stopped, caught in a tractor field. "Clever," Tom said. "Lieutenant Reed, tell the Courage to bring that ship in. We need to know what we're dealing with." The remaining 2 void ships turned and fled, disappearing into the darkness of space. "They're running," Bill said with surprise. "They didn't expect resistance," Tom replied. "And they certainly didn't expect us." He stood up and looked at the debris field again. "Set course for the Lumen homeworld, and keep scanning for survivors. There might still be people alive out there." As the human fleet moved deeper into Lumen space, Tom couldn't help but wonder what they would find. The void had done terrible damage here, but now they knew the humans could fight back. And for the first time, the void had something to fear. The human fleet moved carefully through the asteroid field. Large rocks floated all around them, making navigation difficult. Captain Tom Rivera watched from the bridge as Lieutenant Reed guided the Defender between 2 massive asteroids. "Why would anyone hide in here?" asked Bill from his engineering station. "It's like trying to park in a rock storm." "That's exactly why," Jane replied. "The sensor readings we picked up are coming from deep inside this field. Someone doesn't want to be found." Tom nodded. "And given what we've seen of the void, I don't blame them." They had been searching for 3 days since their first battle with the void ships. The Lumen homeworld had been devastated, with most cities destroyed and no sign of survivors on the surface. But a weak signal had led them here, to this dense asteroid field at the edge of the Lumen system. "Signal getting stronger," Dr. Bell announced. "Definitely Lumen technology. About 2 kilometers ahead." Tom leaned forward. "Can you open a channel?" Dr. Bell tried several frequencies before a response came through. The voice was weak and filled with static. "Unknown vessels. Please. We are unarmed." "This is Captain Tom Rivera of the Earth Defense Force," Tom responded clearly. "We received your distress call. We're here to help." There was a long pause. Then, "Earth? Humans? How is this possible?" "We'll explain everything," Tom said. "But first, we need to find you. Can you send us your exact coordinates?" A few minutes later, the human fleet rounded a large asteroid and saw a damaged Lumen ship. It was once beautiful, with smooth lines and glowing blue markings. Now, half of it was torn open, the metal twisted and burned. Emergency fields held in what little atmosphere remained. "Take us in closer," Tom ordered. "Prepare a boarding team." An hour later, Tom stood in the Defender's medical bay, looking at the first Lumen he had ever seen in person. The alien was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. Its 4 arms moved gracefully as it spoke with Dr. Bell. "Captain," Dr. Bell called him over. "This is Ambassador Glow." He was leading a diplomatic mission when the attack happened. The Lumen turned to face Tom. Its large, silver eyes studied him carefully. "You came," Glow said, his voice musical and soft, "when no one else would." "We received your distress call," Tom explained. "The Lumen helped Earth once. We couldn't ignore your need." Glow's eyes widened. "But the Galactic Council forbids human ships from leaving your system. They fear the Deathworlders." Tom smiled slightly. "We decided that saving lives was more important than following rules that never made sense anyway." The ambassador was silent for a moment, then said, "There are 23 of us left on our ship. We fled when the Void attacked our homeworld. We sent messages to the Council, begging for help." "What did they say?" Jane asked from where she stood by the door. "They said we were already lost," Glow replied sadly. "They would not risk their ships against the Void. They told us to make peace with our end." Tom's jaw tightened. "Well, we're not the Council, and we don't give up on people who need help." Glow looked around the medical bay with wonder. "Your ship, it's different from any I've seen. So solid, so strong." Bill, who had joined them, laughed. "Built by Deathworlders for Deathworlders. We like things tough." Dr. Bell ran a scanner over the ambassador. "I'm amazed you survived in that damaged ship. The radiation levels alone would have killed most species." Glow finished for her. "Yes, 5 of our crew died from radiation before we could repair the shields. We had to wear protective suits at all times." Tom exchanged looks with his officers. On Earth, that level of radiation would barely require monitoring. "Ambassador," Tom said, "what can you tell us about the Void? Who are they? Why are they attacking?" Glow's glow dimmed slightly. "They appeared at the edge of our space without warning. They seem to target worlds based on technology level. The more advanced, the sooner they attack." "Do they communicate at all?" Tom asked. "No, they simply destroy." Glow looked down at his 4 hands. "But there is something else you should know." The ambassador stood up, moving to a viewport. "The Void avoids certain systems, places with high radiation, extreme gravity, or volatile weather. Places that—" He turned back to look at Tom. "That remind me of how humans describe Earth." Jane stepped forward. "They avoid death worlds." Glow nodded slowly. "It seems the very things that make your world deadly to most species may be your greatest advantage against the Void." Tom considered this information carefully. "Ambassador, are there more Lumen survivors? Other ships that might have escaped?" "Yes," Glow said with new hope in his voice. "There is a hidden colony in the Vega system. Many fled there when the attacks began." "Then that's where we're going next," Tom decided. "We'll get you and your people there safely." For the first time, a real smile appeared on Glow's face. "The Deathworlders coming to our rescue. The Council will never believe it. They'll believe it when we stop the Void," Tom replied. "And we will stop them." The main briefing room of the UES Defender was filled with officers from all 6 human ships. They gathered around a large holographic display showing star systems and ship movements. Captain Tom Rivera stood at the head of the table, with Ambassador Glow beside him. "We've been tracking void ship movements for the past week," Tom began. "Dr. Bell has analyzed the data from our captured ship, and Lieutenant Frost has studied their attack patterns." Jane stepped forward and pointed to red dots moving across the star map. "The void follows specific routes," she explained. "They attack the most technologically advanced worlds first, then move to the next target." She highlighted several destroyed planets. "They hit communication centers first, then defense systems, then power plants. It's the same pattern every time." "They're methodical," Tom added, "almost like they're following a program." Ambassador Glow's soft voice filled the room. "They showed no interest in communication or negotiation, only destruction." Bill Cooper stood up from his seat. "What about the systems they avoid? You said they stay away from places with extreme conditions." Tom nodded and changed the display. Now it showed several star systems marked in yellow. "These are the systems the void haven't entered," he said. "Notice anything about them?" Dr. Bell pointed to the data scrolling beside each system. "High radiation, strong gravity, extreme temperatures, just like Earth." "Not just like Earth," Bill corrected. "Worse than Earth. These places would kill even us if we stayed too long without protection." Tom turned to Glow. "Ambassador, would these conditions harm the Lumen as well?" Glow's skin dimmed slightly. "Yes. My people could not survive in such environments without extensive shielding. Even brief exposure would cause severe damage." Jane's eyes lit up with understanding. "That's why our ships did better against their weapons. We're built to withstand harsher conditions." "Exactly," Tom said. "And that gives me an idea." He changed the display again, showing a star system with a bright blue sun and several planets. "This is the Vega system, where the Lumen colony is hidden," Tom explained. "But nearby is the Torrent system, with a pulsar that puts out massive radiation." Bill studied the display. "That pulsar would fry most ship systems within hours." "But not ours," Tom said confidently. "Our ships were designed to withstand solar flares and radiation storms. We can operate there longer than the void can." Jane leaned forward, excited. "You want to set a trap?" Tom nodded. "The void are hunting the Lumen. If they detect Lumen signals coming from the Torrent system, they'll investigate. And we'll be waiting for them," Bill finished. Ambassador Glow looked concerned. "Even with your advantages, the void fleet is massive. We've seen them destroy entire worlds." "We won't try to defeat their entire fleet," Tom assured him. "Just enough ships to make them reconsider attacking the Lumen colony." He turned to his officers. "We need to make modifications to our ships. Lieutenant Frost, I want our weapons tuned to target their propulsion systems. Engineer Cooper, strengthen our radiation shielding as much as possible." "What about the colony?" Dr. Bell asked. "We still need to get the survivors there safely." Tom pointed to one of the smaller ships on the display. "The Swift will escort Ambassador Glow and his people to the colony while we prepare our trap. Once they're safe, the Swift will rejoin us." "And if the void follow them?" Jane asked. "Then we change our plans and defend the colony directly," Tom said firmly. "But I don't think they will. The void seem to rely on sensors more than visual tracking. If the Swift runs silent, they should reach the colony undetected." Glow's skin glowed brighter. "You would risk your fleet for people you barely know." Tom looked at the ambassador. "That's what humans do. We protect those who need protection." Bill grinned. "Besides, the Council called us dangerous Deathworlders. Might as well prove them right, by being dangerous to the void." The officers laughed, tension breaking. Tom brought the meeting back to order. "We have 3 days to prepare. The Swift leaves tomorrow with our Lumen friends. The rest of us will set up our trap in the Torrent system." He looked around at the determined faces of his crew. "The void think they can hunt weaker species without consequences. It's time they learned that some of us bite back. As the meeting ended, Tom watched his officers leave with new purpose in their steps. The plan was risky, but it played to their strengths. For the first time since leaving Earth, he felt truly confident. The Deathworlders were about to show the galaxy what they could do. The torrent system glowed an eerie blue. At its center, the pulsar spun rapidly, sending waves of deadly radiation across space. The UES Defender floated silently behind the third planet, its systems running at minimum power. 4 other human ships were hidden nearby, each one waiting for the signal. On the bridge, Captain Tom Rivera watched the main screen. The radiation levels were dangerously high even for human ships. Warning lights blinked on several consoles. "Shield status?" Tom asked, his voice calm despite the tension. "Holding at 82%, Bill replied from engineering. "The reinforcements are working better than expected. We can last about 10 hours at these levels." Jane monitored her weapons console. "All weapons charged and ready. Hidden platforms are in position around the entry point." 2 days earlier, the human fleet had placed specially designed weapon platforms throughout the system. Now they waited, broadcasting a fake lumen distress signal into space. "Any sign of the Swift?" Tom asked. Lieutenant Reed checked his communications panel. "They've reached the Lumen colony safely. Ambassador Globe and the survivors are secure. The Swift is on its way back, but won't arrive for another 6 hours." Tom nodded. One part of their mission was complete. Now came the dangerous part. "Contact," Dr. Bell suddenly called out. "Multiple ships entering the system. Configuration matches void vessels." Tom straightened in his chair. "How many?" 12 ships, 3 large, 9 smaller. They're following the signal." "Just as we planned," Tom said. "All ships maintain silent running. Let them come deeper into the system." Everyone watched as the black void ships moved toward the source of the fake distress call. They formed a search pattern, spreading out to cover moored area. "They're scanning," Dr. Bell reported. "The radiation is interfering with their sensors." "Good," Tom said. "How close are they to the platforms?" "The lead ship is approaching platform 2 now," Jane answered. Tom leaned forward. "Wait for it." The lead void ship passed directly over one of the hidden weapon platforms. Tom gave the signal. "Now." Jane pressed her console. Across the system, the hidden platforms activated, firing concentrated energy beams at the void ships. 2 of the smaller vessels were hit immediately, spinning out of control. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Tom ordered. The 5 human vessels powered up and moved from their hiding places. They raced toward the surprised void fleet, weapons blazing. "They're scrambling," Jane reported with satisfaction. "No organized defense yet." The Defender shook as a void beam struck its shields. "Shields at 75%, Bill called out. "They're responding." The battle quickly intensified. The void ships, recovering from their surprise, formed a defensive circle and fired back at the human fleet. "They're good," Tom admitted as he watched the void ships maneuver, "but they're already feeling the radiation effects." It was true. The black ships were moving more slowly, their maneuvers becoming less precise. One of the smaller ships suddenly powered down, drifting helplessly. "Their systems are failing faster than ours," Dr. Bell confirmed. "Just as we predicted." But the void were still dangerous. A powerful beam struck the cruiser Courage, cutting through its outer shields. "Courage reports damage to their port side," Reed announced. "Shields at 40%. Tell them to fall back to position Beta," Tom ordered. "Seeker and Shadow, cover their retreat." The battle raged for another hour. The human ships moved in and out of the radiation zones, taking advantage of their superior shielding. The void ships struggled more with each passing minute, their systems failing under the constant radiation assault. "Sir, the largest void ship is moving toward us," Jane reported urgently. "It's charging some kind of heavy weapon." Tom studied the tactical display. "All power to forward shields. Prepare to evade on my mark." The massive void vessel loomed on the view screen, its black surface absorbing the light around it. A dark energy began to gather at its front, growing into a swirling vortex. "That's bigger than anything we've seen before," Bill said, worry in his voice. "Evade. Now," Tom shouted. The defender turned sharply just as the void weapon fired. The dark beam passed so close it made the shields flare brightly. "Counterattack," Tom ordered. "Target their weapon system with everything we've got." The defender's main guns fired in perfect sequence, striking the void ship's weapon port. There was a silent explosion as the dark energy collapsed in on itself. The void ship shuddered, then began to break apart from the inside. "Direct hit," Jane exclaimed. "All ships, concentrate fire on the remaining large vessels," Tom commanded. The human fleet moved with precision, their attacks coordinated and relentless. 2 more void ships exploded. 3 others tried to retreat but were disabled by the weapon platforms. Finally, the remaining void ships turned and fled the system, disappearing into FTL jumps. "They're running," Reeve announced, disbelief in his voice. Cheers broke out across the bridge. Tom allowed himself a small smile. "Damage report," he called out once the celebration quieted. "All ships report damage but nothing critical," Bill replied. "The Courage needs repairs, but they can make it back to the colony." Tom looked at the tactical display, now clear of enemy ships. "We did it. We beat them." "Not just beat them," Jane said with pride. "We sent them running." For the first time, the Void had faced an enemy they couldn't easily destroy. And for the first time, the Deathworlders of Earth had shown the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The Lumen colony world of Haven glowed softly under its yellow sun. From orbit, Captain Tom Rivera could see the beautiful blue forests and silver lakes that covered its surface. The human fleet hung in space above the planet, their ships now repaired after the battle with the Void. "It's hard to believe it's been 2 weeks since we fought them," Jane said, standing beside Tom at the viewport. "The news is still spreading across the galaxy," Tom replied. "Dr. Bell says communications from at least 6 different species have reached the colony in the last day alone." The story of how the human fleet had defeated the Void ships had traveled quickly. The Lumen had shared the battle recordings with their remaining allies, showing how the Deathworlders had used the harsh radiation of the Torrent system to their advantage. "Captain, Ambassador Glow requests permission to come aboard," Lieutenant Reed announced from his station. "Permission granted," Tom answered. "Tell him I'll meet him in the main conference room." An hour later, Tom sat across from Ambassador Glow and several other Lumen leaders. The alien skin glowed brighter than he had ever seen it, a sign of their good health and positive emotions. "The Void fleet has withdrawn from our territory completely," Glow reported, his musical voice filled with joy. "Our long-range sensors show them retreating toward the outer rim." Tom nodded. "They're looking for easier targets. They know now that attacking the Lumen means dealing with us." Elder Light, the oldest of the Lumen present, leaned forward. His skin had a deeper blue color than the others. "The Galactic Council has sent a formal request to speak with you, Captain," the Elder said. "It seems the Deathworlders have gotten their attention at last." Bill Cooper, who sat beside Tom, laughed. "I bet they're not happy about it." "On the contrary," Elder Light replied. "They are quite disturbed, but not in the way you think. For centuries, the Council has kept humanity confined to your solar system out of fear. Now they fear what might happen if the Void return with a larger force, and there are no Deathworlders to stand against them." Dr. Bell looked up from her datapad. "They want our protection. They want an alliance," Glow clarified. "Something that has never been offered to humans before." Tom considered this. Earth would be interested in an alliance, but not one where we're just soldiers for the Council. We want equal standing, equal rights to explore and trade. "That is precisely what we have proposed," Elder Light said. "With the Lumen as your sponsors, the Council must at least consider it." Jane smiled. "From feared Deathworlders to valued allies. That's quite a change." Not valued yet, Tom cautioned. But they're starting to see that the same traits that make us dangerous can also make us powerful protectors. Glow placed a small crystal on the table. It projected a hologram of several star systems. These are worlds that have asked specifically for human protection, he explained. Word of your victory has given hope to many species who feared the void. Tom studied the map thoughtfully. We'll need more ships, a larger fleet. Earth is already building them, Bill said. General Adams sent a message yesterday. The United Earth Council has approved the construction of 20 new vessels, all with enhanced radiation shielding and improved weapons. And more volunteers than they can handle, Jane added. Everyone wants to join the new fleet. Tom looked around at his officers, feeling a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. A small human fleet had traveled beyond their solar system for the first time and changed the galaxy's view of humanity forever. There's something else you should know, Glow said, his voice becoming more serious. Our scientists have been studying the void ship you captured. We believe they may not be from this galaxy at all. A stunned silence fell over the room. You mean they're extragalactic invaders? Dr. Bell asked, her scientific curiosity immediately engaged. It appears so, Glow confirmed, which means what you faced was likely just an advance force. Tom took a deep breath. Then we have work to do. He stood up and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. If they come back in greater numbers, we'll be ready. Earth will no longer stand alone. Elder Light joined him. Nor will the Lumen, thanks to you. Perhaps the term Deathworlders will come to mean something new now, not creatures to be feared, but allies to be cherished in dangerous times. As Tom looked out at the peaceful colony below, he thought about how far they had come. A distress call had led them across the stars, into battle, and now toward a new future for humanity. The Void made a serious mistake, Tom said finally. They showed the galaxy exactly why Deathworlders are the last species you should ever threaten. The human officers nodded in agreement, and even the Lumen smiled in their own way, their skin glowing brighter in the dim light of the conference room. A new chapter had begun, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy.